Hello, my name is Sushma, and I am so exercised over saturated fats that I am going to talk about them at some length today. The main thing, the answer to everything is saturated fats are nature's gift to mankind. So in very short summary, saturated fats are made from these carbon molecules that have no double bonds in them. And they could be short chain fatty acids, and they could be insanely long chain fatty acids. And when you consume these saturated fats, you're consuming things that are made by nature. Hopefully you're not eating industrially processed saturated fats. So you're consuming things made by nature that are not subject to oxidation or rancidity. And so these are wonderful, wonderful fats that have been very maligned over the last 100 years. What has happened is, as our saturated fat consumption went down, our chronic disease actually went up. As our butter consumption, tallow and lard consumption went down, our heart disease, cancer rates, chronic degenerative disease climbed up. And it is no coincidence. Now, some of you might argue that, hey, just because the cancer rates and heart disease rates went up, that doesn't mean that polyunsaturated fats are responsible for those. What it does mean, however, that the butter is not responsible for the increased rates of heart disease and cancer. This has been almost a gigantic fraud perpetrated by the USDA, by the food gurus, by the dietitians that were trained by some of these sort of commonly held scientific belief industry, the edible oils industry that pushed a lot of these, the nutrition and health newsletter that caused coconut oil in movie theaters to be replaced with hydrogenated fats that are just terrible for your arteries, terrible for your health. They displace the good fats in your cell walls with fats that are unrecognizable and unrecognized by the body. And when that occurs, you have these dead spots in your cells, and the body doesn't know how to respond. The receptors don't work. They don't know how to send in solutes and solvents in and out of the cell. So it's very important to have natural saturated fats. The more raw they are, the better. And what I have here is, cooking over here is a saturated fat that I'm going to show you how I make a fat. And that's a practical tip. Let me pull the camera towards the ghee. So what I did was I took some ghee into a pot and put them on the lowest flame of the stove. And you see how there's brown spots at the bottom? This ghee is now made. And this has been boiling at very low simmer on this stove. That's about the simmer. And preferably you want to use the smallest stove on your stove top. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this and I'm going to strain it into this jar here. And I already made one ghee, and this is my second ghee, and it is ready. It's as simple as that. I wish I could send you smell molecules over the internet, but let me tell you, the whole house is filled with the aroma of this wonderful, wonderful ghee. And your human body, the body tells you what is good for it and what is bad for it. So we need to have trust and faith in our intuition. So this is one kind of saturated fat you could eat. And I'm trying to fill up both my jars with this fat. It's a shame that I'm using raw butter to make it, but that's what I bought this year, and that's what I'm gonna do. So this is an animal saturated fat, folks. It's got butyric acid. What is butyric acid? Butyric acid is the 4-chain fatty acid that's present in butter that helps you think better, that feeds your gut bacteria. that is used to make gamma-aminobutyric acid, which is a big calming agent. It's a neurotransmitter that's critical. If you have a depressed person in your family, feed them saturated animal fats. Not only does this have fat-soluble vitamins A, D, K, and E, it also has amazing arrays of fats that are anti-cancer, anti-tumor, antidepressant, that help you digest food, that help you get rid of things like piles and hemorrhoids and constipation. So what you want to do is make sure you eat saturated fats, because what saturated fats are doing for you is they're helping to make your body lubricated. They help to lubricate your body. They help to lubricate your gut. So for people with constipation, it is critical that you eat a lot of saturated fats. I find that people who are on low salt, low fat diets, and on top of that, if they're drinking a lot of water, so their minerals are leaching away, are very desiccated. They have dry eyes, frequently considered or diagnosed as Jorgens. They have dry nose, they have dry mouth, they have horrible problems eliminating foods. And let me tell you, if your bowels are not going well, nothing else is ever going to go well. For all those ladies out there who need assistance, the Metamucils, the Miralax, etc., you should not. If you have bowel problems, if you have stools that are very tough to excrete, try eating this wonderful food, and your health will become wonderful as a result. Your mind will feel better. The second fat I wanted to talk about was, of course, my second favorite fat, which is coconut oil. So this here is coconut oil, and I use that liberally. If you have a thyroid problem, this saturated fat has lauric acid and a bunch of short-chain fatty acids that rev up your metabolism. So if you have a thyroid problem, I would say get 6 to 8 tablespoons of coconut oil as well as ghee into your body. If you have cancer, these are wonderful fats. If you have sugar-related diseases, diabetes, joint problems, arthralgia, gastrointestinal troubles, if you're hyperactive, if you tend to get very stressed out, there's nothing like a fat to calm you down. What are gateway foods? So many people have said, I am not used to eating fats. I can't just eat 5 tablespoons of butter like you told me to. Well, guess what you can eat? You can eat ice cream. And here is ice cream that my Miriam, my partner's mom, made, and it is made from kefir and raw cream, and it is the most delicious thing you could imagine. It's a great way to get saturated fats into your body. It's kind of like a sorbet. It's like a sorbet. And for your benefit, I'm going to taste a little and tell you how it is. Absolutely delicious. If you're going keto, So, if you're going keto, you do not want to put sugar in there. Average ice creams have a lot of sugar in them. So sugar feeds cancer. And so what you want for your keto ice cream is either don't add sugar, add a little honey or maple syrup from the top, or just eat it with berries. It is absolutely delicious. So that's one gateway food. Learn to cook in saturated fats. These are saturated fats, and ghee has a smoke point of 480 to 500 degrees. And so this is not going to smoke. The other things you could eat is beef, lard, tallow. I'm going to show you my raw butter. This is raw butter. See how golden yellow it is? This is a true gift. It's a gift from the gods. It's nectar of the gods. I could live in butter. You could eat raw cheese. This is Karen's raw cheese. And a whole bunch of other raw products. The main thing is to understand is saturated fats are good for you. Coconut oil, as opposed to the just completely terribly analyzed Harvard study, is a very good fat. Palm oil is a very good fat. Bring them on camera, someone said. Bring them on camera. So yes, Jeff, I did bring the fats on camera. I eat a lot of cream as well. So Mary Enig is my favorite lipid biochemist, and she's written a whole lot about fats, in particular saturated fats. Read her books. Get a little bit educated on fats. It behooves you to ask your doctor, why should you not eat fats? Why should you not eat salt? Ask them for studies, and you can show them studies back that indicate fats are a good diet for glioblastomas. Fats are a great diet for insulin resistance. Fats are a great diet for Alzheimer's, cancers of various sorts. And in life, if you want to increase your lifespan, what you want to remember, you can burn two things. You can burn fats or you can burn sugar. The more fats you burn as a form of energy in your body, the longer your lifespan is going to be. And the reason for this is hormonal. And that reason is what happens with the food that you eat in your body is governed by your hormones. And your hormones, such as insulin and insulin-like growth factors, are the primary causative factor in heart disease, cancers, and so on. And they decline precipitously if you're burning fat instead of carbohydrates. So remember, it's not what you eat even, it's what goes into your cells. It's what you assimilate into your cells. So find ways to assimilate good fats. We're not talking about Crisco as a saturated fat here. We're talking about unprocessed as possible natural fats. I notice in women who were young women in the 70s and 80s and almost paranoid phobia of fats. In a lot of cases, if they eat fat in other forms and they don't know it, they get addicted to the fat. But the minute they know it, they withhold from eating the fats. If you want to have good health, if you want to have good mental stability, if you want to be joyful and not depressed, if you want to be fertile and not have PCOS, eat a lot of raw saturated fats. Cook in saturated fats because they're the most stable fats, and a lot of them have short chain fatty acids that have a very different migratory path into your body. They get absorbed by your lymph tissue through things called buses or carriers called chylomicrons, and they get transported into your body in a very different way without raising your insulin levels. So hope you have a few tablespoons of saturated fats today without fear of reprisal, and understanding and knowing that they're very, very good for your health, and make some key. Shoot me emails, tell me more ways to make saturated rendered fatty acids, and I would love to experiment. Oh, I also have some duck fat, which is absolutely delicious, and I'm going to show you my jar of duck fat. And here is my jar of duck fat. Is that it? No, here is my duck fat. This here is duck fat, and I cannot tell you how delicious duck fat is. So try some duck fat as well. It tastes like rendered ghee, and it is really, really delicious. So here's to your good health. This is motivational for and a plug for eating saturated fats today. If you have cataracts, retinopathies of any kind, macular degeneration, if your joints hurt, consider that you might be short small and large chain fatty acids. If you're depressed out of your mind, if you're confused, if you're premenopausal and having premenopausal or menopausal fog, there's nothing like saturated fats to help you feel better. All right, happy cooking, happy eating, and have a great and healthy day today.